Can I let you in on something confidential? I was disfellowshipped as a young man, 18 years old. Did not have much knowledge of the truth, but knew I loved my family. In fact, went over my baptism questions in a group of young people, because that's how we understood it back then. I didn't really know what I signed up for, to be honest with you. And then when I turned 19 years old, I was disfellowshipped from the Christian congregation. Looking back, I was bent on doing what I wanted to do on a course that I had selected. And I was removed from the Christian congregation. It was a good thing. You know why? I would have taken anybody with me who would have wanted to go down my path. Anybody from the Christian congregation. And I'm telling you that. This is 40 years ago, 35 years ago. But I did not take nothing into consideration at the time. The brothers made the right decision. I missed my family so much, though, because my mother took a stand for the disfellowshipping arrangement, felt it was a loving arrangement from Jehovah. I stayed out of the congregation for 4.5 years. In my early 20s, I met my wife, got married, and came back.
So what brought you back?
Well, to start, to be honest with you, I missed my family. And it made me have a desire to look back at it. But then, like you, I climbed into those insight books. I had to make Jehovah real to me. And once I saw the disfellowshipping was not my issue. I knew where I went wrong. But once I knew that had I leaned on Jehovah, I would have never chosen that course.
But isn't that a form of emotional blackmail to hold your family hostage until you decide to come back to the congregation?
Absolutely not.
Because in the video and in the Watchtower, there was a recent Watchtower about it too, that says, so in the video the girl says, had my mom, I desperately missed my mom and I wanted to talk to her so badly, but had my mom just given me a little bit of attention, that could have been enough to satisfy my desires, and then I wouldn't have come back to the truth. But really, shouldn't our motivation be because we love Jehovah God and we're sorry for hurting him and we want to make things better with him, and not because we miss our family?
What's wrong with that being a starting ground? That's like if a person met somebody.
It's showing your motivations in the wrong place, though. Your motivation is to be with your family, and not the starting ground to me should be our relationship with the Almighty God. I've sinned against God, and I'm so sorry, Jehovah, that I hurt you. I want to be with your people.
That's the most important thing.
That's what I feel
But
like,
the others
right?
there too, it's going to be there side by side.
But the motivating factor, I feel like,
Should be.
is your family's held hostage.
That I don't see where you could come to that thinking, because I missed my family. It wasn't that my family no longer loved me. The love didn't stop. My family still loved me. My family missed me. They just weren't going to put me before Jehovah because they had already made their determination. Jehovah was the most important thing to them. Jehovah was more important than my own father to my mother. So Jehovah was the determining factor. It wasn't a hostage thing. It's not like, hey, we're not going to love you if you don't love Jehovah.
It's not that you're not loving them, but you don't show them any love, no amount of love. Like, the girl, when she called her mom on the video, she could have been being attacked. Her mom doesn't know what's going on the other line. She just sees that her daughter's calling, my daughter's calling, and she's disfellowshipped, and my loyalty is to Jehovah, so I'm not going to take that call. How heartbroken would she be the next day if she found out that her daughter had died and she was calling for help?
You know, we could sit there and analyze that phone call all day long. You're right. We could say that a car landed on top of her and she could only reach for her phone to take her dying breath. Do you think that's what the brothers were trying to convey with that phone call, though? That's what we have to look at, is the context. What was the context they were trying to convey out of that? Okay. Would it ever really be the context that could be she's in perilous times and she's calling for help? Absolutely not, because you know the reality? My son's disfellowshipped right now, and I don't have nothing to do with him. But if I'm driving down I-5 and I see his car pulled over on the side of the road with a flat tire, what am I going to do?
But if he calls you, do you accept all of his phone calls?
It would depend. If I noticed he was making a pattern of calling me for trivial things, I would limit the amount of phone calls I'll take, because I would think he's not respecting me. But if he called me and said, hey, Dad, I'm stuck up in the woods and I got a flat tire and I can't get out, do you think I'm gonna go help my son?
I hope so.
Absolutely, I'm gonna go help my son. Or I'm gonna make sure provisions are made available to go help my son. It may be easier for me to call a tow truck and put it on my credit card to take care of it. I get that right as a family man, and I have an accountability to Jehovah. If I drive down the road and I see him broke down, or if there's no food in the house for my grandkids, all of those things, we still have an obligation toward humanity.
Yeah.
That doesn't go away. So that's not what the video was trying to convey.
No.
That she was in a perilous time and the mom wouldn't take the phone call. And that's why I'm telling you, I may get a phone call from my son who says, hey, we're having a barbecue tomorrow, I'd really like you to come. Hey, son, you know where I stand on this, I'm not gonna be at your barbecue. Now he calls back a second time, I'd really like you to come. And on the third time I look at the phone call, and I may put the phone down. Do you see how it can be taken out of context? I can tell you with full confidence, and Brother Graber will support it, that's not what they were conveying. What they were saying is the girl was trying to continue to have a relationship. But our obligation as Christians, if her life was in any way, shape, or form in jeopardy, in need, assistance was needed, we're gonna come to our family and to any stranger out of moral obligation.
Okay, because that's exactly how I felt.
That,
I felt like I could
and
never do that
And
to my
that's
children.
correct. See, what was implied there in the video, you see a little short clip.
Mhm.
What was implied was, as Dave just described, the girl was making an ongoing pattern to try to keep in touch, and the mom knew that.
And the mother was struggling with it at first, if you remember.
Mhm.
And it was for the mother also. The mother, it was killing the mother to take the
Yeah.
phone calls.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it does. And they will try. My son will try to get away with it. He'll try to, you know, try to involve me in things. And I'll have to tell him, hey, we're not having this conversation. You elected to leave the family. I didn't leave you. I'm right where I was when you left. I didn't change, you changed. I'm right here when you're ready to come back. And I don't mean come back to me, I mean to come back to Jehovah. But I can't condone his lifestyle. If I did, what does it tell him about me after 20 years of his upbringing and living at home, what I stood for, if I were to condone it now? What does it say about the 20 years of upbringing I gave him?
I understand that. I mean, I don't know that talking to them necessarily, like having interaction with family members necessarily show that you condone it, especially if you're verbal about it and make it clear to your son and to your family that you don't condone what he's doing, but.
It's a bigger picture. You get little clips like this, and some will point things out, but they're not allowing the whole picture.